Ladies and gentlemen, your Seattle Mariners are officially on a roll. They win their fifth consecutive series. They take the first two games of the series from what is, in my opinion, the best team in the National League, maybe in baseball, in the Atlanta Braves. For the first time this series, the Atlanta Braves lose back-to-back games. The Seattle Mariners starting pitching is on a run that we haven't seen since the dead ball era of baseball. Just incredible performances. This team is dialed in right now. They're in first place in the AL West. Let's celebrate it. Let's enjoy it. And let's dive into this game. What is up? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back and welcome into the Seattle Mariners post-game recap. The Mariners defeat the Atlanta Braves tonight 3-2. They improved to 17-13 on the year and remain in first place in the AL West. The reason I know they remain in first place in the AL West, I don't even have to check the other team's results because the Mariners entered today in first place and they won. So that's how it works. You stay in first place when that happens. Whew, it wasn't easy. It was not easy. The Braves made it tough in the end, which no shock. That is a tremendous ball club. It is not going to be easy to get W's against them. And the Mariners found a way. They win it 3-2. Like I said, it's the first time this year the Atlanta Braves have lost back-to-back ball games. Luis Castillo with an absolute magnificent performance, showing why he is still the ace of this staff. Listen, I'm not going to argue with anybody. You want to tell me Logan Gilbert, you want to tell me George Kirby, you want to tell me Castillo. I'm not going to fight you on any one of those guys being the ace of this staff. I think they are all tremendous. This starting pitching staff is just breaking records with the run that they are on. I said yesterday they probably won't hold a 1.52 ERA the rest of the year. Screw it. They might. I don't know that they might be this good. I mean, we know they're tremendous, but I mean, they are on a run like we've never seen before. I mean, what is it now, like 19 straight starts of allowing 2 runs or less or something like that from your starting staff. Just an incredible run. And honestly, tonight's from Castillo might have been one of the most impressive of that run, especially against this Atlanta Braves offense. Got a little dicey in the 8th inning. And I'll talk about that, but the Mariners hold on. And honestly, I didn't think the offense was that bad tonight. Against the Braves bullpen, against Chavez and Bummer, they struggled a bit. I thought they actually did pretty good against Ronaldo Lopez. Lopez has been lights out this year. His ERA coming in today was 0.75. Now listen, no pitcher in baseball is 0.75 ERA good, unless you're a starting pitcher for the Seattle Mariners. No, I'm kidding. But, his FIP was in the 2s. It's not like he'd been super lucky. He had been pitching extremely well. And listen, did the Mariners, drive him out of the game? No, 6 inning, 3 earned runs is still solid. And they had a chance to bust it open. They couldn't. But that's certainly better than most teams have been doing against Lopez. So I didn't think the at-bats were that bad tonight. There's still room to grow. It was not like a breakthrough by any means. But what did I say, yesterday and before the series started? This is not going to be the series where the bats are just going to break out. This is a series that you just find a way to get wins and you take it. And that's every game. I'm not even saying that against, Colorado or the White Sox or other teams like that, you don't take the W. You always do. But this is not the pitching staff that you're going to get your 10 runs against. And it's probably not going to happen tomorrow against Chris Sale. You battle, you try to put a few runs on, you try and, drive in the runs when they're out there with less than 2 outs when you can. You try to get that base hit that delivers the knockout blow. When you get a mistake pitch, you do damage with it. We saw Polanco and Dylan Moore both do that today. And you battle and get the W. So, again, it's not an offensive performance I would put in the Mariners Hall of Fame, but I actually don't think it was that bad of a performance tonight from the offense. Obviously, the star, though, was Luis Castillo. And then my second star of the game, not that that's something I do, would go to Andres Munoz with his tremendous performance. Before I dive into the box score, do me a favor, smash that like button. I cannot thank you guys enough for all your support. Hit subscribe if you're new. I'm now 13 subscribers away from 3,200. Guys and gals, when I started this season, now I did the post-game recaps last year, and a lot of you have been with me for a while. So whether you're new or been here for a while, I love you. I appreciate you. I think I've gained 6 as I'm eating half my beer there. That's lovely. That's what you guys came to see today. But I'm already 5 minutes into this. I'm not restarting. I think I've gained 600-700 subscribers since opening day. So I cannot thank you guys enough for all the support you have given my channel. It truly does mean the world to me when I see new subs coming in and the likes and the views on the video. I'm at work checking it, and it truly does like hit me in the feels. I mean, it just means the world to me that many people care what I have to say about this team. And I'm no different than any of you. I'm just a fan. I'm just a fan of this baseball team that loves to talk about them, that drove my wife crazy talking about them every night. And she said, turn on the camera and just talk about them. And, you guys have backed that up. So thank you all very, very much for all your support. So let's dive into, and it feels good with this team playing good. I mean, it just, when your team wins, I talked about this after some of the Seahawks recaps. Now, baseball's a little tougher because you got a game the next day, but your dinner tastes a little bit better. That glass of water you had before better. Maybe the brewski tastes a little bit better. The bowl of ice cream tastes a little bit better when your team wins. When you lose, it's there to comfort you, but when you win, everything just feels a little bit better. And man, to this series, to beat the Atlanta Braves, listen, even if they can't win tomorrow, my gosh, 6-3 against Texas, Arizona, Atlanta. What was the frustration last year with this baseball team? That they were beating up on bad teams and they couldn't beat the good teams. That was our frustration, or a lot of people's frustration. Well, they've gone at least 6-3 against the defending World Series champs, the defending National League champs, and probably the best team in baseball. That's a little bit of a gauntlet right there, and they've withstood it. They also swept the Cincinnati Reds, who are a playoff hopeful team. So this team is just absolutely dialed in right now, and they've had a tough schedule. The only team they've played so far this year that's just not good is Colorado. Boston looks much improved. I don't know if they'll be a playoff team, but they look good. Cleveland's off to a hot start. Milwaukee's playing good ball. They have not played, really outside of Colorado, a bad baseball team yet. And they're 17-13. Just tremendous. And this was a series that just scared me. I mean, Atlanta is so good. And, I even talked about in the preview for the first time, I wasn't sure how much of an advantage the Mariners had in the pitching matchup. I did say this was the one I thought they probably did. I didn't think they really had it last night. And Miller, I don't know if you'd say he out-dueled Fried, but he certainly went toe-to-toe with him. And then tomorrow's going to be a tough one. Chris Sale versus Emerson Hancock. But you do have these two wins in your back pocket, which is going to make that game, a little bit easier to stomach if they lose it. And you know what? Screw it. Go get the W. Go sweep this team. How great would that be? Let's go ahead and dive into the box scores I pulled up here. What a masterpiece from Luis Castillo. Just on point today. 7 innings, 3 hits, no runs, no earned, 1 walk, 7 Ks. I think he had 21 swings and misses. Let me pull it up here real quick in Savant because I am curious what the swing and miss was for Luis Castillo. And let's see if I can pull it up here. That was last night's game. We don't want last night's game. We want tonight's game. This is what you guys came to see, right? Me clicking on stuff. But I am curious how many swings and misses Castillo got. That D-backs Dodger game in the top of the 4th, the bees have erupted in Arizona. If you guys saw that, a beehive broke out behind home plate. Kind of funny. Hopefully everybody's okay. Obviously, 20 swings and misses from Luis Castillo. Just absolutely ridiculous. He had 23 not long ago against the Cubs. Kirby had 23 on Saturday against the D-backs. The staff is just so locked in. He made it look easy, guys, against a lineup that is not easy to get through. That is a darn good Atlanta Braves lineup. And I don't want to hear, they're scuffling a little bit too. And yeah, they've got a couple guys. Acuna hasn't gotten rolling yet. Neither is Olsen or Austin Riley. But Marcell Ozuna has been like the best hitter on the planet. Darno's swinging a good bat. Michael Harris is swinging a good bat. Kellenick's been a little Babbitt, lucky, but he's swinging a pretty good bat. Who else am I missing in that lineup? Ozzie Albies. There is no break in that lineup. Absolutely none. And the Mariners have held them to 3 runs through 2 games. And quite frankly, a couple of the runs today in the 8th were a little fluky. But what a masterpiece from Luis Castillo. Again, I think sometimes Castillo's like the forgotten guy a little bit. Just, I think as fans, we gravitate towards the more homegrown talent, and Logan Gilbert, George Kirby drafted by the Mariners. You always want to see those guys come up and succeed because they've been Mariners since day one. And you feel like they've almost been a part of your family, for lack of a better term. That's not that people aren't happy with Luis Castillo. It's not what I'm implying at all. But, he comes over in the trade, and I mean, we know how lights out he's been. But I sometimes think, and he got off to a little bit of a slow start this year, that he is forgotten sometimes, but I mean, when they're all on their game, I'll put Castillo up against anybody. He's still my game one guy. He is still the guy I'm going with if the season was on the line. Assuming everybody's got equal amount of rest, I'm still going with La Piedra. I mean, it's close. Again, I won't fight you if you want to go with Logan or George Kirby, and that's the beauty of this team is that you could roll with any one of the three, and you're going to feel pretty darn good about it going into it. But fantastic work by Luis Castillo. Ryan Stanek comes in the eighth. Listen, he wasn't that as bad as the line score looks. A third of an inning, 2 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned. Travis d'Arnaud sticks the bat on the ball, 76 exit velo, drops in for a base hit. Jared Kelenic hits a slow chopper with an exit velo of, what was it on that one? Let's go back here to the eighth. 45 miles per hour on the exit velo. And it ends up being an infield hit. As Polanco tries to field it, but throws high to Ty France. Actually, real nice job by Jared Kelenic to kind of tuck his arm in there to be safe. Acuna lines out at 90, hit fairly hard. Always with a solid base hit. I will give him that. That was a legit line drive. And then Scott obviously goes to Andres Munoz after that. I'm kind of ready to see Gabe Spire more in that role. Not saying you release Ryan Stanek or anything. You need him. And he's still, the velocity's there. He's touching 99. That splitter when it's on is good, but his command doesn't look great. And again, a little bit BABIP'd tonight. Like, it wasn't all his fault. I mean, if you produce exit velos like that off the bat of the opposing team, you got to feel pretty good. The expected batting average on those things were, d'Arnaud's was 910 because it was just kind of stuck out there. So that's going to fall in. But Kelenic's was 150. I mean, he could have easily been out of that inning. He could have easily been out of that. Kelenic's probably should have been an out. Acuna lines out, then there's 2 down, and then Albies gets a base hit, but it's first and second. So I'm still not loving Ryan Stanek. I'd like to see him maybe take a little bit of a step back role and be more the guy that comes in when they're down by a run or something to hold the lead. And I'm sure that's what Scott will look at and say, listen, he gave up soft contact. It happens. But whatever, it just wasn't Stanek's night. A little bit unlucky, a little bit of both, right? Not great, but also a little unlucky. Andres Munoz with a masterclass performance tonight. An inning and 2/3, 5-out save, 1 hit, 1 walk, which is intentional, and 3 strikeouts. He comes in to face Austin Riley, and another little dinky hit that just rolls in front of the plate, kind of in a no man's land between Munoz and Cal. Munoz, the pitcher, did his job. Munoz, the fielder, throws wide. A run scores, and it puts runners at second and third for the Braves with the game 3-2. And I'm not going to lie. I'm thinking, here we go. And it was so frustrating because Atlanta is so good. It's like they don't need to get little dinky infield hits. This is super frustrating. Like, you're almost sitting there going, if they hit it out of the park, you can tip your cap. But for them to just get these little bloopers and not even bloopers outside of d'Arnaud, it's little infield hits was super frustrating. Then they walked Matt Olson intentionally, which I thought was the right call. I'd rather face Ozuna righty on righty with the bases loaded, having an out at every base, than facing Matt Olson in that scenario. And Munoz strikes out Ozuna, and then he gets who did he get after Ozuna? Oh, Arcia to ground out on another play that was almost another little infield hit for the Braves, but what a play by Dylan Moore. And they get Arcia by, I didn't want to say half a step, maybe an eighth of a step. A nice stretch by Ty France there, and a tremendous, tremendous play by Dylan Moore, who had himself a pretty solid game today. Then in the 9th inning, we just get lights out. Munoz strikes out Michael Harris on a nasty slider down in the inning. Great job by Munoz to stick with that slider there. Got behind Harris 3-0, and I'm thinking, okay, he's probably just going to start pumping in some fastballs, try to get him out. Sticks with the slider, gets him to strike out. d'Arnaud actually does hit the ball pretty hard, but Julio right there in center, and then strikes out Jared Kelenic pretty easily with that slider. We know Kelenic struggles with the breaking stuff and the bendy stuff a little bit, so gets Kelenic to swing over the top of that breaking ball, and the Mariners get a W. Castillo, outstanding. Stanek, not great, also a little unlucky, and Munoz just is, that was, I've talked about, like, we haven't really seen 2022 Munoz. We've seen flashes. That was 2022 Andres Munoz. That was the guy that just, puts the team on his back and gets the big outs. I remember, in 22 when he would come in and you weren't even worried. You're like, well, other teams not getting run. Munoz is coming in. That's what tonight was for Andres Munoz. I have seen some discussion. Should Scott have gone to Gabe Spire in the ninth, to face Harris and Kelenic? They probably pinch hit for Kelenic. I'm not sure who they have out there that's their platoon guy with them, but I know Kelenic's been platooned a lot this year. Listen, I would have been fine with it. I would have had no problem if they decided, listen, with the lefties coming up, we want to go with Gabe Spire. That would have been a fine decision. It's one of those things where multiple things can be correct, right? Like, it doesn't just have to be one or the other. If they went to Spire there, totally fine with it. I'd have zero issue going to Gabe Spire in that situation. But I have no problem looking at that eighth inning, seeing how good Andres Munoz was, and writing it out. Munoz was probably going to be down tomorrow anyways after that eighth inning. So you get a little bit more to Munoz, and now you save Spire for tomorrow. Spire pitches the ninth. You might not have Munoz or Spire tomorrow. Now, listen, you got to get the W that's there. I've said it before too. You can't manage for what's tomorrow. You got to manage for today. But, it still is a nice little boost now that you probably do have Gabe Spire available for you tomorrow. Munoz probably down, but he probably would have been down anyways after the eighth inning. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe, he didn't throw a ton of pitches. Oh, I think he would have been. I think Munoz, regardless, was going to be down tomorrow. So, I mean, whatever. It doesn't really matter there. But that's one of those cases where I think I could roll either way. It's sort of like even walking Matt Olson. If they would have had Munoz pitch to him with the base open and been careful, then fine. I can understand the logic there. It doesn't just have to be one thing's right, one thing's wrong with decisions like that. There can be multiple options, and I have no problem with how Scott handled it. I really don't. I thought that was fine. Honestly, if you want to get one criticism, I'd probably go to Spire instead of Stanek. I think Gabe Spire deserves a chance to try to get righties out as well. He has been dominant. I think he is just a better pitcher than Ryan Stanek, and I'd rather see more Gabe Spire than Ryan Stanek at this point. Not saying I want Stanek off the roster, but Spire should be above him in those situations. That would be my one critique, honestly. Let's move on to the offense tonight, and then I'll get out of here, and I'll let you guys go celebrate this W any way you feel fit. Josh Rojas, on base 4 times. I said Rojas probably going to cool off a little bit. Now, not a dig. You guys know I like Josh Rojas. I hyped up the trade. I thought that was a nice piece they added. I did not expect this from Josh Rojas. I mean, the dude's been an MVP candidate. My God. It's gone from, hey, Rojas is pretty solid to this is our best hitter right now. 1 for 1, led off the game with a hit and 3 walks. Just tremendous. And when he comes up, I feel confident. Certain guys that just come up to bat and they look like they're going to give you that quality at bat and get on base. And that has been Josh Rojas. Every at bat is good. Even his outs this year have been loud. Finally checked out his Savant page a bit, and it is a thing of beauty. Rojas has been a fantastic player for the Mariners this year. Listen, the pitching's been the MVP, but if you want a position player MVP, I'm taking Mr. Rojas here for this team. He has been a bolt of lightning for this team this year and just tremendous, and a great vibes guy too as well. Julio 0 for 4. Julio. Just some rough swings still. He's going to get going. I know I keep saying it. I mean, I don't know what else to say. They need Julio to get going. He had a bat with the bases loaded where they really could have broken it open. He got a middle fastball from Lopez and just pounds it into the ground. Julio is hitting some pitches into the ground that I just don't even get how you hit it into the ground. Not saying personally, Lord knows I wouldn't be making contact with anything, but just, as an analyst, if you want to call me that, of baseball, I don't even know how you hit some of these into the ground that Julio does. And I was so convinced after that home run in Texas that we were seeing a breakout from Julio. I was like, here we go. Home runs are going to come in bunches for him, and he is going to go on a tear. Am I worried about Julio? No. We've seen this before. I've talked about it. When Julio's hot, the guy cannot make an out. It is just, you could throw, it's like pitching day when, Ichiro, you could throw the ball on the ground. He's just going to hit it. But man, when he's cold, it can be frustrating. It's just the skill set. It's just what it lends itself to. Turn the calendar tomorrow to May. Maybe that helps a little bit. The good news is, let's look at it like this. The team is 17-13 with their best player not playing very well. I know that doesn't mean really anything necessarily, but they're getting good production. When Julio gets going, and if this pitching can hold up, keep up what it's doing, it's going to hold up. It's tremendous staff. This team's going to be in good shape. Jorge Polanco 1 for 4 with a 2-run home run. Good to see the power back from Polanco. He's still been drawing his walks, Hasn't been getting a ton of hits, but had that line drive base hit in the ninth, which started the rally to win the game. And then a 2-run home run today, which proves to be one of the difference makers. Good to see from Jorge Polanco. Garver 0 for 4. I'll give Garver a pass now after being the hero yesterday. Cal 1 for 4. Good to see a hit from Cal. It's his first hit since the dental surgery. Maybe the busted tooth was his good luck charm. But good to see nice line drive hit from Cal. I think it was the second hardest hit ball in the game tonight. Mitch Haniger 1 for 4. Had a nice base hit. Had another line drive that I think, let me check. I've got Savant up. Might as well look at it. It was not one of the hardest hit balls. I swear it was hit over 100 though. That was his single was 103, and his line out was, where is Mitch Haniger? 99. He had almost 100 miles on the exit velo on his line out. So a couple hard hit balls tonight for Mitch Haniger. His base hit was hit at 103.8. So good to see a couple nice line drives from Mitch tonight. Ty France 1 for 4, had that base hit, stayed back on the slider, poked it in to left center field. Good to see. Luke Raley had a solid line drive hit. And that was 106 off the bat. Good to see that. And then Dylan Moore with the big double into the gap, which scored the run to make it 3-0, which also proves to be the difference maker in the game. Good to see from Demo. Nobody with a multiple hit game. Rojas with the 3 walks does reach base 4 times today. The only 3 walks for the Mariners. They do strike out 11 times. Not too worried about the strike. I mean, overall, the strikeouts aren't good. They're piling up for the team. And there's one thing that they talked about cutting back on, and they've been worse. But in terms of this series, I'm not too worried about it. Fried and Lopez are just really good. They're going to get their numbers. They're going to get their strikeouts. And while I think the Mariners overall will cut back on the strikeouts when it's all said and done, they're still going to be a team that strikes out probably more than the average team does. I thought the offense was okay tonight. I do. They're a little frustrated against the bullpen. You'd like to see a run against Jesse Chavez, the ageless wonder. I will say this with the Mariners winning. I will make a point that I love Jesse Chavez. I just love those guys that stick around. And, the Jamie Moyers, the Sergio Romos, the Jesse Chavezes. So now the Mariners won. Had they lost, it would have been more frustrating. But now they got the dub. I can say that. But yeah, a little frustrating. They couldn't get anything off him. And Aaron Bummer struggled a bit this year. And they don't get anything off him outside of the Cal base hit. So that part's a little frustrating. It'd been nice to add on a run or two against, the lesser of the Braves bullpen guys. But overall, I thought they had some decent at-bats against Lopez. They had some hard contact. The expected batting average tonight for the Mariners was 294. So they did put together some better at-bats tonight. And again, like I said, I know I'm repeating myself, but not the series that you're going to get right. The Braves pitching is just too good. Lopez has been one of the best starters in the National League this year, in baseball this year. Like I said, is he going to run a .75 area? Of course not. But he's been dominant. The Mariners did more against him than most teams have done this season. So, and listen, they've won 2 in a row against, like I said, probably the best team in baseball. So I cannot sit here and complain a lot today. This offense has to be better, but I thought it was much better tonight than it was last night. And against Atlanta, this is a no pictures on the scorecard series. This is, again, if you want to get to the World Series, this is the team you're very likely going to be playing. I'm not predicting the Mariners in the World Series or trying to get ahead of myself here. But if that's the goal and that's where we want this team to be, this is the type of team you're going to play, the Atlanta Braves. And guess what? You're going to be playing games like this. They are not going to be 13-0. They are going to be absolute dogfights that are going to make you biting your nails, pulling your hair, and sweating like crazy. That's what it's going to be. That's playoff baseball. That's what it feels like. That's that atmosphere. We haven't experienced it a lot in the last 25 years, but that's what it is. And it is not going to be easy to beat a team like the Braves. And the Mariners have done it 2 times in a row. And even if they didn't, they've gone toe-to-toe with an outstanding baseball team. They are proving this week that they belong with the big boys. This pitching staff can beat anybody. It can beat anybody. It is good enough to do it. And it is not luck that the pitching staff is dominating. They're probably overperforming a bit. That's fair. But it's not luck. This is one of the reasons people like myself and others thought this team was going to be really good. They have a ridiculously good pitching staff and hopefully an offense that's good enough to complement them, being maybe, 10th to 12th in the league in WRC plus, somewhere around that range. They were 9th last year. The offense will get going. I don't know where we'll end up finishing, but it's better than it has been right now and some better at-bats tonight. So a great win a great series win. Go celebrate it, guys. Grab a drink, toast. Let's get the sweep tomorrow. Let's do it. Why not? Why not? You've got the bullpen in pretty good shape. If Hancock runs into some trouble, get him through 4 or 5 innings. Maybe the bats can get going against Chris Sale. I'm sure everybody on this team has seen Chris Sale before. So, maybe a little experience helps them. Maybe you get, Luis Urias in there and he makes something happen. Who knows? Get the sweep tomorrow, and that off day will feel good. Even if they don't, I am really, really encouraged by what I've seen from this team so far. They end April 17-13 in first place. Great first month of the season. May starts tomorrow. Let's keep the good vibes going. Go Mariners. Have a great night, everybody, and I will see you all tomorrow for the post-game recap. Peace.